Hey guys, welcome back to the hangar. Sopwith Camel getting built, Latrobe Valley. I'm Scott Matthews. Thanks for those who've just joined along. We're going to go in the tent, get some painting done. This is where we're up to this week. Okay, fuselage is dried. I came in, I've ironed over everything once again. We'll get to the paint in a minute, but as far as colour scheme goes, I think I'll take the time and paint. I could just paint it all green or olive drab, but most of them I've seen have the bottom is like a light, the linen colour on the bottom of the fuselage. So I think I might do that, mask it up and then paint the top and sides green. Got my test board ready to go. I'm going to mix up some paint, do some practice. 6.5, 7 I've marked up just for me to make notes. 5-inch spray fan, and we'll get the paint working correctly. Scrap piece down there ready to paint. I also practiced on this with I heated up a scriber and poked it through to give me a couple of nice holes and then slit it. So I've temporarily got the holes in there. I haven't slit the fabric yet because I'll do that after it's painted. But it seems to hold together okay, and then I'll be able to get my cable through there. Then we'll cover that with a leather patch, which will look good. I mean, back on the epoxy, world's gone crazy at the moment. Good luck to all my American viewers. So I've sprayed the ends of these. I ran out of paint, just a rattle can. 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of colour on these short guys. That's still flashing off. And then my covers will go on. Hence, I haven't painted in the middle. And these are flashing off as we speak. I did have them in the tent, but brought them out here because it gets a little bit on the nose, a little bit whiffy. Give me a headache already. You'll see I've got some runs there. Most of this is hidden and buried in the wing. The satin black seems to flash off really nice and cover up a bit of rubbish. But bit of time, scrub them back, wax and grease remover, paint the ends, and they're all clearly marked still, which also mainly on the long ones. It's pretty obvious on these which is the bottom, which is the top. But on these ones, you don't want to lose the top, if that makes sense. So I've written it all down. I labelled my struts A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A being front right, if you stand behind the aircraft, comes all the way right back around to G. Just as long as my stickers don't fall off. Once that paint is dry, the plan is to cleco these back on, aluminium tape to assist in holding them on, and then that vinyl that I've covered. I've cleaned the gun. Going to mix up some paint and have a play in the tent. Like I said, just got to make the time to basically waste a bit of paint. I'll get stuck into that. All right, guys. I've got Sky News blaring in the background. There's a bit going on in the world, but I want to keep a wet edge, so I'll keep this quick. I've gone with the roller. I spent best part of 2 days mucking around with my spray gun and everything, trying to spray latex paint or acrylic house paint, and I'm really happy. This is going on really slick with the roller. It's not dry yet. What I did the bottom and it was telling me it was dry. You know, a lot of texture, and I think that's where I mucked up on the tail potentially. So I've put another coat of glue over the top of this. You see it's gone a lot darker if you look back at other photos. And I think that's filled the weave really well. You see it's got a nice sheen to it. I'm a bit panicky because I got wet paint and I want to keep going. So quick video there, and we'll roll these sides on and I'll give you a look at that. I'm just using the, there you go guys, 4-inch roller. I've thinned the paint 4:1 with Floetrol. I bought this paint thinning additive, Floetrol it's called. It's taken me a while to work all that out. And this isn't, let you in on a secret, This is just grey paint. It's not primer, it's not, it's just saving me using my green paint. And also I know grey highlights all the tape edges. So I'll probably get 2 or 3 coats of this and then the colour. I've given up on the eco fill. I did this bit before and that's sort of gone off, and that's really nice. That'll come up really good with, you know, some layering and a light sand between coats. I'm excited. Let's get into it. All right, guys, look at that. Really happy with that. It's sucking down flat. That's as good as I'd get it with a spray gun, I believe. So, whew, really happy. Got a funny shape here. That's the last panel I did, so that's not dry yet. It's time to walk away. Given the conditions, not rush this. Back in tomorrow. I'll let that dry really well. Back in tomorrow. Another iron the edges down. Hit it with 350 open cut paper I've got there. Oh, I can see a big scummer there, but anyway, sandpaper will get that. The best part is I just throw this in the fridge, wash my hands, I'm done. So yeah, 350 open cut. I'm glad I lifted it up so I can do it all at once. I was going to paint the bottom first. Now speaking of the bottom, some of the camels have the linen colour underneath. Honestly, I think I'm just going to do it all green, because there are some camels out there, the fuselage is all green if you have a look on the bottom, and the wings are linen. So let's keep it easy and do that. I learned a lot doing the bottom. I believe there's a bit of texture in there, because that only had 1 coat of the blue glue. So yeah, it's just interesting. Listen to what the aeroplane's telling you, I guess, for a good finish. We're not nearly there yet. I need to do at least maybe 2 or 3 coats of this grey. Yeah, with the sand between coats, and then we'll put some green on. Maybe tomorrow when I come in, I might get another coat of grey, see how good it looks, and then maybe 1 coat of green. There's nothing stopping me sanding the green paint as well. So yeah, just let it dry. The tapes are looking really good. The grey does show up all the goobers, which is what I wanted. You can see here. Where else? I can see 1 right there. And just up on top, you can you get the darker spots. All that edge there compared to that. Well, that one's nearly good. Just here, just needs an iron down. Now the iron is going to wreck the paint as well. Probably you got to be a little bit careful. Like it'll melt the paint, and then you can. That's okay. It'll stick it down. But if you go too far, you end up with a burnout in the paint, which you can't really fix, I guess. So yeah, there's a few. Don't touch it. Stand away. I'm going to go and do something in the hangar. I've got both heaters going. Obviously, I don't leave those going when I'm not here. So I just want to get everything up to temperature. You can see another little jobby there. But look at that. I'm really happy with that. I mucked around with a spray gun for a day and a half. Wasted a fair bit of paint. In the end, I just rolled it on, thinned it nicely. But I think the key was getting that second coat of glue on, just to slick it off. Really nice. Anyway, I'll stop bragging. Long way to go. I'll come in tomorrow and see how that works out. All right, so stoked with my baby in the tent there, looking good, looking real good. So, while the temperature warms up a bit, onto my struts. So I painted the ends just with a rattle can. Satin black is my go-to. I've clearly labelled the ends because you just don't want to, well, I don't want to mess these up because you'll never know where they go again. This one's B, obviously. It means something to me, that's all you need to know. These stickers will come off and it'll get wrapped in, you know, make them look like wood eventually. So that's what's on there, just with a zip tie so I don't scratch my nice new paint job. And now, I've just laid the tape. I'm using a credit card, or my pilot license actually. And this metal tape, this stuff, 3M, 1 inch, foil tape, goes down really nicely. I could leave it proud to try and fill this gap, but I'd rather the adhesion, if you like. So you get all the wrinkles out. Now I'm going to pull this Cleco out, finish the tape off, now that it can't move. I've got 4 Clecos in, and I've got some nice black rivets that'll go in after it's covered. So it all sort of will tie in and look nice. So bear with me, but I just thought I'd show you that. And that makes the struts nice and wide. If you remember back, they were fitted on the aircraft, and we'll wrap those to make them look like wood. Bob's your uncle. Not sure about the ends. I could, I have thought about expander foam, but I've made a lot of mess with that stuff in the past, working at home. Do I need to fill those? Not sure, might just leave them open. Although when you walk up behind the aircraft, yeah, foil tape, might just leave the ends open, especially the bottom, let stuff drain out or whatever. So I'll stop talking and get back to finishing these off. All right, new addition. We have lashed out. Every time I go under the aircraft, I wish I sort of had one of these. So saw it on special, 50 bucks. We got the plastic garage creeper. Just a slide underneath, do turnbuckles, work on the fuselage. Now I've come in this morning, and unfortunately I won't go in there. I'm trying to heat the tent up. I had condensation all over the fuselage, almost like it was wet. You know, I touched it, got a hell of a surprise, because I come in expecting to sand it and iron the edges down and put another coat of paint on, but everything, even all the paper in the hanger, is sort of damp. And then on the cruiser, I've opened the door up now, get a bit of airflow. You know, like your car of a morning, it was just covered in moisture. So the tent creates its own environment. I pumped that up to like 26 degrees before I went home, then I turned it off. That's probably not helping, I guess. It is why it's on. As soon as I turn it off, you know, that I'm probably creating more moisture. So when I go home tonight, I might open the doors up just so it all equalises. Yeah, I thought for some reason, I had an incident on the cruiser where when I painted the wing, I got all like, the primer went like an avalanche. I was driving in this morning thinking, oh, I hope it hasn't all got crow's feet all over it or something silly. And sure enough, it's got condensation. You know, you touch it and it's physically wet, but there's no transfer of paint onto my hand. So I'm pumping the heaters, hoping, well, it was dry. It was dry when I left. Now it's just got condensation on it, I think, so we'll dry it out again. Whee! Right, given the grey a sand, blown it all off. Right, what am I going to do? I think I'll give another coat of grey. You can probably see on the film, on the movie here, you can see the green showing through a bit, especially down there. But yeah, you can see the green. So plan here is to fill the weave and fill the pinking tapes. So I'll do another coat of grey, but I might as well start on the bottom. So I might do that, the linen colour. I'll do the linen colour on the bottom. because it's the bottom, and we'll do grey down the sides and then 2 coats of green hopefully in the future. But it's looking good. Seems to have dried off a little bit better. It's still cold, if that makes sense. So it needs a good day in the sun. We need a summer. I'll stop talking about the weather and get on with painting. Alright, this is half the reason I have trouble spraying this stuff. It's pretty thick, and then if you thin it down, to spray, you just lose the pigment and that in the paint. So happy with my choice to roll this on. I'm using the Floetrol. This is that Floetrol stuff I found at Bunnings. You add it to paint. I'm adding it 4:1. It says only 10%, but I've just gone a bit nuts, just through trial and error. I've painted that both sides. I got the old tile plane sort of scrap piece that I had. That's in the tent. Now I'll show you. Everything I do, I sort of duplicate onto a test piece. So that was with 4:1 water, which is what I've painted the bottom of the fuselage with now. And it goes on a bit like a fly screen, just wispy. Whereas I'm going to go back now. I put some Floetrol in. I'm going to do another coat of grey on the fuselage, and that'll be enough of the grey. Iron all the tapes down one more time, another sand, probably 2 or 3 coats of green. That's where we're at. But that stick hadn't even moved. All right, I feel like I'm spinning the wheels a bit, guys. Come in this morning and she's covered in condensation again. It's drying out now. Now I painted the bottom with the white or the linen colour. You might be able to see just up here, and it changes. That was with a brush. Now it's gone blue. So half of that's the reflection off the tarp, I think, but also the grey. So I've mucked up with the grey. The grey, because it's not a primer and it's a paint, obviously the colour is coming through. So to put a light over a dark isn't going to work in this situation. So it's okay, close call, because I'm going to put the dark green over the top. Hopefully it doesn't change the colour of the olive drab too much. It shouldn't. And I should have gone with white. Had I gone with white, white base coat, let's call it, then I could have masked up the roundel almost now, and the stripes or whatever I'm going to do. I've got it in my mind what I'm going to do, and sort of done a negative mask, if that makes sense. But now what I'm going to do is paint it all green, and then I'll worry about getting the white over the green at a later date. So we'll sand all this back. That's had 2 coats of grey. It's looking fantastic. If I can get the green to lay down slick like that, that's fantastic. So we'll just go with all green. I have got a photo on my phone there. So it is a known scheme. See, the fuselage is all green on the bottom, and I like the 2 stripes. It's simple, just off-centered. So I've drawn those on my bench out here. I'm getting ahead of myself. While I wait for the tent to warm up, I've got a roundel that my little jig made up, worked out okay. I'm not sure if it'll stand out on the video, but just all my dimensions for when I mask it up. I'm going away for a couple of days, so I'll get in there now. We'll get a coat of green paint on the fuselage, if not 2 today. All right, no 2 ways about it. A good finish, or a reasonable finish, takes a reasonable amount of work, I guess. So, sand that down, we'll blow it off. I use the compressed air and a rag, blow it off, and I'll whack a coat of paint on. We'll go with the olive drab. Should come up a treat. Let's do it. All right, so I've just come in. I'm using 320 grit and a bit of Scotch-Brite for the open areas. As you can see, I've just knocked down that first coat of paint of green. It's very streaky. I might do an east-west this time, although it's easier going up and down. But yeah, cleared it all down. I've got Chloe in here helping me. and I'm just going to lay on my back, quickly do the bottom, mix up some paint. Feeling under the weather today, but what we'll try and do is get one coat of paint on and then we'll go home and play. Okay, second coat. It's yeah, it's pulling down nicely. Starting to get the texture in there, but anyway, is what it is. Just a little bit, but for what it is, really happy with that. I want to touch it, but I won't. I can probably touch this bit. Yeah, it's almost dry already. I literally just cleaned the paint tray out. Do we need another coat? I can tell this is the second side I did, I think, or the last side. That's still not dry. But yes, we need a second coat. I can see through that in spots, which is fine. I sort of predicted that. But the sheen, can't argue with that, guys. Can't argue with that. Let's get out of here, let it dry. We'll do something else. All right, so as the man flu is knocking me about a bit, we'll keep going. I'm just playing around with leftover paint on my test pieces, which I think are invaluable. I put I cut some stickers out of the orange, just cheap orange vinyl that I had at home on my sticker machine. Whacked it on, slopped the paint on, pulled it off. Now, it works out, doesn't do a bad job. I don't know if that's a bleed through. I think I've actually ripped the tape off. I might stencil the little lift here's. That worked out well. Just put the sticker on, brush it, pull it off. That way it can't, because it's such a small, if it was a sticker or vinyl, it'd probably peel off over time. I might do the F2024 out of a sticker, just because I know I can get it accurate. If it gives me grief in the future, I'll just paint it. I'll come back and stencil it. But we'll do a white square on the fuselage, that size, and then I'll print the number and that'll go on there. Roundel wise, so I just played with this. Pull this off. So you can see I used the thin tape. I just wanted to make sure I could get, so that's a 5-inch radius, that'll be the red dot. And I've done that by hand, and that looks to me to be pretty good and pretty round. A little bit of a bleed where the stop and start was, but I'm happy with that. So I know I can get the radius just with that little, that's only 1/8 inch tape. And then I did an outie up here, or an innie, so I painted on the inside of the tape, and then down here I painted on the outside of the tape. One way masks easier, I think the outside, because you're stretching the tape, lays down flatter than if you're trying to bunch up the tape to come around. But that's roundel practice. I did print out some, you can see on the table here, potentially, stripes, and I've got it just full size on the bench. I've showed you the compass that I made, which is right here. Really simple compass, it's only got to work twice each side. I toyed with the idea here of, I thought, all right, I've got a computer cutter, let's cut out the big, big circle and just do them perfectly. One, I think I like sort of the slight, I don't know, done by hand, although that's pretty good, and it'll be better on the aircraft. So, yeah, what I was getting at, I could cut this big, it's nearly 700 millimeters, 27 inch, all the way around. So I could cut that, but it's a lot of vinyl. So using 1 metre of vinyl just to get a trim tape, and then 1 metre of the lift-off sheet that I use, which I could potentially use twice for both pieces. Using a lot of material to get what I can do by hand, basically. And then what I would do is paint all that white, then come back in. You'd have to sort of I could put a crosshair on the computer and stick that on like a positive sign. And then the next piece,
for argument's sake, this, which had a crosshairs in the middle, would overlap it to get it perfect, stick it on, and then that's my masking basically done. A bit of a cheat's way of doing it, but I'm not going to do that, purely because I'm going to waste about, I don't know, 3 meters of vinyl, and yeah, I'll just have a crack at doing it by hand, I think. So the plan is another coat of green today on the fuselage. I'll draw the outer circle. I need to retain centre. Doesn't matter if I lose it, I guess you can sort of find it again. But I'll try and retain the centre, paint all this white, let it sit for a day, come back, do the blue and the red. We're probably looking at 3 to 5 coats of paint, but that's where we're at. I'm also thinking of the 2-inch stripes. I don't know whether to do those yet or wait. It's easier to add them, it's a bit hard to take them off. I might cut them out of paper and stick it on the side of the fuselage once the roundel is drawn up. And also I've got the registration number. That'll be black and white. I might reduce the sides a bit, just probably ½ inch around the perimeter, just to neaten it up a bit, tighten it up. Print out some more lift here stencils. That's the roundel, and I'm still going through. Got one more to go. I do one before I go home each day, and just sticking the struts, making the wing struts a lot thicker. I have thought about expander foam in these holes here, but they can get real ugly real quick. Do I need to fill those holes? They might whistle. I could just put some 16th balsa on there maybe, and then run the vinyl around. So we'll have a play with that anyway. Going well. Right, one last coat of green, hopefully. I'll filter this one. I find with the paint, your confidence, grows as you learn your own process. Every process is different. There's a whole lot in paint, to get it to lay flat. What I've learnt now, I wish I could do the tail again, but I've given that a good sand. You can probably see. The paint's not very durable in the sense that if I end up rubbing this with a half decent rag, it's going to mark the paint. So that's okay, because it's a warbird. She's going to end up looking like a warbird one day. I actually like the look of it now. I'm not sure if the camera can pick it up, but you can see all the tapes and it's a bit raggedy looking. But anyway, we'll go for that matchbox plain finish, I guess, at the stage. We'll get the green on, leave it for today. Looking forward to putting some markings on. Be a bit of a challenge, but that'll be good. Then the next step, believe it or not, once the paint's dry, I'm going to put the tail back on. Tail, I haven't shown you guys the tail yet, like the fin and the rudder looks fantastic, I think. And the tail plane, the stays and the flying wires, and run the control out, put the tail wheel back on, and that's where it'll basically finish up. Then I need to probably work on the centre wing. We'll start covering that while I'm building the front. Haven't been down here for a while, but plenty of sanding dust on that. We can only dream. Let's keep going. Big process. Enjoying it though, which is what it's all about. It's all about fun. Okay, the last little bit of paint. It's time to have a little bit of a clean up. I think that's most of the paint for now. Really happy. See, she's glossy and wet. Looking good. Just sleep, baby, sleep. I'll just let that, it's 17 degrees today, so a nice warm day, relatively warm. So I am just, no heaters, I'm just going to let that cure. I think the longer I leave it sort of wet, Don't look at it too much. You just start seeing stuff. Theoretically, the longer it cures, it should release, should it not? But I'm happy with what I'm seeing. Just magic. Really good. Dry, baby, dry. Just looking for dry spots, but if it does dry, you need to find the dry spots as you put the paint on, because it could be curing, if that makes sense. Cure a bit quicker. I should have ground off these daggy aerodrome aeroplanes welds. I was told I wasn't allowed to grind the welds, but anyway. What I learnt with doing this, well, that's had 2 coats of adhesive, 2 coats of grey, 3 coats of green. Start worrying about, it's going to end up as thick as that beach towel, but it sort of goes on thin and prickly with the roller. And don't try and cover it all in one go. That 3rd coat sort of lets me know. I won't know till it's fully dry, but I think that's enough. Potentially it might need a 5th coat, or what are we up to? 4th coat, but I'm going to resist that temptation, I think, at this stage. But I'll let that dry for a day or 2. I reckon that's probably dry already. Dry to the touch. Yeah, we'll let that dry, suck down. Tomorrow I'll probably draw on it, have some fun. I think I need to probably paint that black in there, where the footstep's going to go. Shouldn't be a drama. And looking inside, you see that blue colour comes through, but here's what it is. What else did I learn? Got a little run there. That's where the brush was. Yeah, taking my time, mixing up the paint. I'm using Floetrol, get it from Bunnings. It's an additive for the paint. I hope someone's not going to tell me it's all going to crack. But that's what it's designed for, instead of water. And I'm mixing that at 4:1 Floetrol, which has given me okay results. So that's where we're at. I've painted the bottom again. Take quite a few coats, discuss that. Still looks blue, but that's obviously the tarp reflecting up. Righto. All right, what's on today? Fuselage is looking good. It's all dry. Final finish. She's beautiful. Olive drab. Looking the part. Fantastic. I'm going to do a roundel next, but that'll be in the next video. So today, I'll mark it all out. Now I learned a lesson. So I went with a cheap, this is just vinyl, like you do your school books in or your cupboards. And I had 2 goes. I tried to sort of wrap it around all at once, around this is the Cabane strut. And what happened? The first time, it's impossible not to get air bubbles, and you can't move this once it goes on. And if it does stick to itself, you're sort of history. And so I ripped it off. Then I sprayed it with Windex, like soapy water, and did 2 halves. Then you can credit card you can sort of move the stuff around, but because of the fold back, etc., you get a big bubble on the edge, and it didn't stick. I tried to pop a few bubbles with the heat iron. Anyway, end of the day, you get what you pay for. So I ordered 5 meters of this stuff off eBay, 1200 long, thinking it would do the job, but it hasn't. So I've gone to the sign writer. Sorry, still struggling with a bit of man flu, but I'll be right, guys. Don't worry about sending flowers in just yet. So off to the sign writer. He's going to print me up some samples of some wood that he can do. I took this part in and showed him, and pulled my paint off. Shows you my painting. That's just not adhered at all to the primer. I'll give those a touch up. It is what it is. So the difference is with the difference is, see this is the 3D wrap stuff. So if you, for argument's sake, if you had bottom under top or something, you can actually just pull this off and redo it. And if it was to do that, you think it's history, but you can actually pull all that out, and with a credit card or something, you get that back down flat. It's still pretty rough, but you get the idea. So very workable, the 3D wrap, and you can push all the bubbles out because it's got some technology in there. I don't know if it's porous, but it's got little dimples on it, so you can work it all out, and it's just beautiful. So we'll get some 3D wrap for the wing struts. All right, guys. So from the hangar. I might wrap that video up there. I'm not sure how much footage I've got this week. It was a bit clunky with school holidays and etc. in the way. A lot happening in the world, I noticed, with the TV behind me there. I'm going to start adding some colour. So next video I'll do some roundels and some markings on the fuselage. We'll get the fuselage out and hopefully put the empennage on there, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.